What is duality?
I think it's very simple. It's just the sense that I am separate. So there's me and everything else.
Thank you.
That's it.
What is non-duality?
Non-duality is there is no me, so there is no everything else, and it's not replaced by anything. It's just replaced by not knowing.
Love that. What is free will? And is there free will?
Free will is the illusion that me has, that I am the doer, the maker, the designer, the driver, the creator, the destroyer, the controller, the manager of my life.
Beautifully said. I like that. What is determinism?
Determinism is the notion that this is predetermined, in that everything is already that what is present has been determined by what has been. In no way is this message deterministic in any way, because this message is saying there isn't anything that has created this. This is whole in itself. So this hasn't been determined by anything else, because there isn't anything outside of this. This is fully whole and complete. And so determinism becomes just another mute philosophy with it has nothing to do with what we're talking about at all.
What is thought?
Oh, I have no idea. I really don't know anything about that at all. Anyone who tells you they know something about thought is just another thought, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
so what? Yeah, if you ask psychologists what thought is, and we're thinking psychologists or neuroscientists, they will say it's I don't know, it's synaptic electrical impulses.
Yeah.
But that's not how thought is experienced. Thought is experienced as conversation. Thought is experienced verbally. And so I think that's really what people want to know. What is it? Well, it's a conceptual representation of those impulses. But then that's just a story. You don't need to know what thought is. Thought is just something that seems to happen.
Brilliant. That's what I think so too. What is an emotion? Yeah.
Well, yeah, and again, that's
Yeah.
so complex. I mean, for me, emotion is much more complex than thought. Thought is pretty straightforward. It's conceptual, and it's linguistic. It has some meaning associated with it, whereas emotion is much broader. It's very bodily, and I don't think there's a clear distinction either. This distinction we make between thought and emotion, I think that's quite an arbitrary thing, that we just like to say, okay, thought's in the brain and emotion is within the body, but they're not really separate things. If you think of thought and emotion, often they happen simultaneously.
Thank you. It's almost kind of like a concept again, thought and
Yeah.
just a
Well,
concept.
well, again, all it is trying to, so in the human experience, we can say there's thought and emotion that is experienced, or that happens, that seems to happen. But trying to distinguish between the two, they're not really separate, because the truth is that nothing is really separate.
Brilliant. Thank you. What is the mind?
Well, I think the mind is purely conceptual. So that's thought has made up this idea. It's just an idea. Well, I don't think thoughts are just an idea. Thoughts are ideas, you could say, but thoughts do happen. Well, mind doesn't happen. So what we're talking about in non-duality is just what seems to happen. Well, you can't tell me that mind seems to happen. Mind is a totally abstract construct that we've decided that's where thoughts happen, in my mind. Well, it's just pure nonsense. No one's ever found a mind. And this goes back to, because I'd studied psychology, and there was so much talk of mind, and I would ask the lecturer, so what are we talking about with this thing called mind? So it would be much better just to talk about the brain than the mind, because at least we do know human beings have a brain in their skull, because an autopsy shows us that. But it doesn't show mind, and no, as far as I know, neuroscientists haven't found any evidence for a mind at all.
What is time?
Time is the illusion of this being on a journey. That time is the illusion that there's cause and effect, that things happen for a reason, and what I do now will influence what is to come. What has happened has created this. So the whole story of it's a story, really. Time is our story. I think only human beings, as far as we can tell, conceptualize whatever this experiential being is, whatever this is. As far as we can tell, no other beings have this notion of time. And it makes perfect sense why we have time as human beings, because as me, I'm only interested in controlling and keeping myself, controlling this life, controlling the environment to suit me as best as I can. So I make it as safe as I can, as pleasurable as I can, as conducive to my well-being as I can. That's the nature of me. And so me and time they're not separate, actually.
Yeah.
If time starts to fall away, or time becomes more less concrete, then immediately me can feel vulnerable. Because everyone, don't get me wrong, we all long for this. And for me, the most obvious, it seems very obvious, that's why we long for sleep. Because in deep sleep, everything falls away. I fall away, the sense of being self. The sense of being doesn't fall away, but it's absolutely silent and still. And that is what we long for most. And all selves long for the loss of themselves. And they also long for the loss of time. Because of course, in time, I have all the baggage of my story, of the past, of me. And I also have to carry that into a future where I have to try and make my future safer, happier, better for me, achieve what I want to achieve, make my life meaningful, give my life purpose. And of course, without time, I can't do any of those. But so paradoxically, that's what we long for. We long for the lack of purpose. We long for the end of meaning. We long for the end of time. Because without time, there's just this. And this is just gloriously simple, just as it is.
Beautiful. Thank you. I like that. That was beautifully said. I really like that. What is truth?
Truth?
Yes.
That's just for me.
Yeah.
That's just
It's another me.
It's just for me to know. I want to know. So self so desires the power of knowledge and understanding, because that will give me power, security. And when I've got power and security, then I can get what I want. And one thing that says what me says about truth is that can give me it. If I know the truth, Wow, that's the ultimate power. And really, all self is about is personal power. That's what I want.
That's
And
good.
if I know the truth and others don't, well, of course, how powerful am I? There is no truth. Well, you could say that there is truth, but if there is truth, that's not knowable. If you wanted to know the truth, you would have to know everything, and you would have to know nothing, which is, you know, everything is pretty impossible. You're just a human being. So you can't know everything, because everything would be the truth, wouldn't it? You know,
Hmm.
if you knew yeah. So that would be the absolute truth. And of course, but also this is the big thing why there is no truth or no knowing it, is you would have to know nothing.